Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Monday Musings-Danny SportsWrap, and I hope you had a great weekend. It was a mixed bag of a weekend in sports. We'll get to that in a moment, but I hope you were able to celebrate Mother's Day in the proper way, either with the mother of your children or your own mom or your grandmom, be it on the phone, as it was for me, or in person, a family gathering. It's really a special time, and to really celebrate the person who is so important in your life, really the heart and soul of most families. The father always thinks he is. The mother's really the one. And I got to talk to my mom yesterday, and actually 2 weeks from today, this particular podcast will emanate from the Clinkscale family home in Framingham, Massachusetts, and the reason I will be there is because the home has been sold, and my mother will be moving out soon. My father is already in a home, and my mother will be going into a lovely little place that she's very excited about, but the house has been completely renovated and refurbished for the sale, and so I am going to say goodbye to the home that has been the Clinkscale family home since 1964, and now will be someone else's home. But I decided that I had to see it just one more time and stay in it just one more time, and I hope you get to treasure some memories like that on Mother's Day. And let's get to the sports weekend. It was a big one. The Royals continue to crash and burn. Sporting Kansas City saves the day as far as the weekend is concerned. It looked like it was going to be completely disappointing as Sporting was missing scoring opportunity after scoring opportunity, but eventually, after Austin had a player sent off, they rallied late, got a couple of goals, won the game in super dramatic fashion, wildly entertaining game all night long, and that put a good capper on things for the weekend. We've got a lot of other sports notes as well to talk about. We've got just plain lots to talk about, and it continues next, right here on Monday Musings, Danny's Sports Wrap. It's always brought to you by Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Jeff and his fine crew. Make sure to get in touch with them. Listen to the commercial you're about to hear, and that will give you some more information. Visit their website, and you will be really in good hands with all of your HVAC needs. As they always say, they treat you like family. And we get rolling. Coming up next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
The bitter cold snap in February was just another intense reminder of how important it is to have a quality heating and cooling company on your side. That's why you need to know about my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Jeff Dillon and his top-quality staff provide honest, affordable, and reliable service all year long. Their number one priority is taking care of the customer and focus on being genuine, always following through and standing behind what they say and do. If you need HVAC or AC repair, it's important you get help from a team of professionals. Dillon's Heating and Cooling's team can walk you through a range of products, the advantages of heating and cooling systems, and ultimately help you find the best HVAC system for you. They're always glad to answer your questions and set up an appointment for an installation consultation. Whether you're looking to upgrade to a newer model of your current system or need one installed in a new home, give my friends at Dillon's Heating and Cooling a call today at 913-214-0529. That's 913-214-0529, or visit dillonsheatingandcooling.com to answer all of your questions. Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Their slogan is their goal, always treating you like family. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. We're here with Michael Barber, the CEO and founder of Microlight Corporation of America, the world leaders in laser therapy. And Michael, tell us a little bit about your product.
Our device is using a particular wavelength and power to reduce pain and swelling. My background is surgical lasers, but I've been involved with this particular device now for about the last 20 years, actually.
And I know that it works because I've had it
There
used
you go.
on me as well. And tell us about the relationship you have with your company in Canaway.
It's what I call a strategic business relationship in that Canaway, the leader in the field of the cannabinoid systems and CBD oil, but our device used in conjunction with Canaway CBD oil gives a better pain relief outcome for the patient.
And if you want to get that pain relief outcome like I did, you can reach their local representative, Sherry McCants, at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312. Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from WrecExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit RecExpert.com and learn more. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyClinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Well, let's try to start off with some good news with the Royals. I guess I can do it. They're off today, so they can't lose after losing 8 games in a row and having a winless homestand of 7 games. And then they play the Tigers. So maybe things will brighten up for a few days. Then they have to go to Chicago and play the White Sox again, including a doubleheader on Friday, and maybe that's not going to turn out so well. But for now, there's really, the more you put any detail into what's going on with the Royals, the worse it sounds. And I guess just a 3-letter word, if that's the way it's spelled. I don't know. Sometimes it's spelled with 4. Sometimes it's spelled with more. Ugh. It was just ugh for the Royals. They come home from the road trip. It was 6-3. They had lost the last game of it, but still a great road trip. They've got a homestand looming against the division. They're in first place. They've got the best record in baseball. And then absolute thud. 7 losses on the homestand to extend the losing streak to 8. 45-17 they were outscored. They got bombed yesterday by a count of 9-3, and unfortunately they have done it in every single way imaginable. When the starting pitching's been good, the bullpen has let them down. The offense has generally been bad. They scored only the 17 runs, as I just mentioned. The last 4 games, they've only scored 4 runs. They barely had a pulse offensively against the White Sox, and while there's been some brave talk about hard contact, when you're scoring that few runs, I don't care. I mean, yeah, you could have a little bit of bad luck, and maybe that takes away a run or two. A run or two per game wouldn't even have been any good for the Royals. So it's been especially bad. And Mike Matheny is often fairly upfront, pretty blunt about what goes on. He's not going to be super critical of his players, but he's not going to just whitewash everything either in Ned Yost fashion. And after yesterday's loss, he's pretty disappointed, but he's not going to really buy into the fact that his players are just trying too hard.
I'm not so sure that pressing's always a bad thing. I mean, I see pressing and urgency almost as the same, as long as it's controlled effort and you don't have pitchers on the mound trying to overthrow. That's pressing. We got guys that are coming out and making pitches. We got guys who are taking some pretty good at bats. It's just we're not able to put a lot of things together, and it does seem that when we make a mistake, it gets amplified. So it's a bad run. Part of the conversation that I just keep having, and I had again with the guys yesterday, is just a reminder that this was a really bad week. We're going to have some really good weeks. It's not our last bad one. It's just how do we continue to play the game and try not to let it linger too much. It's hard to let them go though when they all stack up, just like talked a couple days ago about not having a run scored. you know it. You want to fix it. And it had the guys taking bigger swings than what they ought to, maybe so. But overall, it's just something we're going to have to put our head down and keep fighting and realize this is part of the game.
You just touched on this a little bit, but is there something maybe that you do to make sure that these guys don't lose that belief and confidence that they had at the start of the season?
Something we keep talking about. They're probably just sick of hearing me talk about it, to be honest with you. But it's something that makes sure they understand that we as a staff believe that this is the kind of team we are, and but also reminders that we've got to do things right. We've got to figure out ways to win. That's how we've been so far. And to keep pointing out the positives, like we've already talked today. Not just blind optimism, but when you're doing something well and the results might not be there, we got to focus on them. With that in mind, too, when we do make mistakes, we just got to keep working. We've got to keep working, keep teaching, keep learning. And this is a group that's been very open to that, and it will pay off in the long haul. But none of those things are a quick fix. There isn't a quick fix, except we got a day off, and then we fire our spikes back on and get back in there and fight. But that belief that you're talking about, it needs to be reinforced with the positive results. We know that. But remember that the process is what's the most important thing through this 162-game season, that you got to stay with it.
Within this past week, coming off of the road trip that was really good for you guys, after this tough homestand, I guess, how do you try and put in perspective where your club is at right now?
The conversations I've had with them, we haven't even played our best baseball yet. We got some wins. It was with a fight and effort and just a grinding style, which I believe we should be able to bring every single day, regardless of how well we're going. So that is always going to be part of the conversation, is that our best baseball is ahead. But it doesn't make it any easier for the fact that we just had a great opportunity in front of our fans to put out a really good show, and we're not happy, and it's embarrassing when we don't play the kind of baseball that we know that we can play. So there should be a lot of quiet right now, because this is something that stings. We take a lot of pride in how we go about our business, and when it doesn't look how we want it to look, it doesn't sit right. And so, unfortunately, we don't have a chance to get it right here at home. Now we got to go on the road and figure out how to turn it around, and then figure out how to keep these lulls or these down times shorter.
Basically, the Royals just have to clean things up in every area. They're now 12th in runs scored in the American League. That's 15 teams. They're 13th in ERA in the American League, and even the most basic of defensive statistics, fielding percentage, they are 11th there. And if you've used the eye test for their defense as well, they've done all kinds of things wrong. Not only has it been sloppy, it also not just been errors and errors of commission. It's been things like overthrowing cutoff men, letting men advance a base and then score, which happened in yesterday's game. All kinds of things like that have gone on, and the Royals offensively, as we mentioned before, have really been dreadful. And if you're looking for another not-so-great sign, the three best offensive players they have, and the only three players who basically have any kind of a reasonable OPS, are the oldest players who play: Carlos Santana, Salvador Perez, and Whit Merrifield. Santana has certainly lived up to his signing and has been a very good player. He and Salvador Perez are the only players on the team with an OPS over 800. Whit Merrifield has been okay, although he's been slumping a little bit of late. And the rest of the players just haven't done it. Andrew Benintendi has shown some signs of life recently, but still overall not so good. Michael A. Taylor got off to a hot start, but basically has sort of reverted to what he is. Hunter Dozier and Jorge Soler have been major disappointments, and maybe that's the biggest area of potential hope for the Royals, because you just don't expect Hunter Dozier and Jorge Soler to be in lockstep with OPSs of 613 and 612. And the other player who plays regularly now is Nicky Lopez, and maybe there's some reason for optimism there. Adalberto Mondesi is down in Arizona working out. Even if he isn't great, which they always expect him to be. He certainly is going to be better than Nicky Lopez, who's a fine second baseman defensively, but a below-average shortstop, and just has completely stopped hitting after a promising start. And he really is just looking like the player who just can't hit. I mean, he can provide a little bit of value as a utility infielder, but that appears what his career arc looks like right now. So the Royals have problems there. They've seen the first two starts for Daniel Lynch go very poorly. Can't wait to see him try to get out there one more time. His first start was mediocre. His second start, obviously Saturday, was a disaster, and he didn't even make it out of the first inning and gave up 8 runs. It was painful to watch. Actually, he may have given up 7, and they gave up 8. But anyway, there's just no good news right now for the Kansas City Royals, and they have fallen 3.5 back in the division. The White Sox look like a good team, even despite really 2 extremely crippling injuries for the Chicago White Sox, and the Cleveland Indians seem to have found their form, although they get postponements and all kinds of things that keep them from playing that much and gathering some rhythm. And you also expect that the Indians are going to struggle a bit because they just are not a very good offensive team. They occasionally show signs of life, and their pitching is so great it can carry them. But in the end, I don't know if the Indians just have enough offense unless they go out and, maybe if they're still contending because of their fantastic pitching, they go out and acquire a big bat towards the trade deadline. But that's a very difficult thing often to do. Probably the best news in the entire division so far is the fact that, first of all, you get to play the Tigers a lot, and they're terrible. And the Twins are just not seemingly finding any traction whatsoever, and they are burying themselves right now. And if you're considering yourself a contender in this division, that is extremely good news. So the Royals, with the day off today, then they start maybe a little salve in the wound kind of series against the Detroit Tigers, but they've just got to play better. Plain and simple, the Royals have to play better. And even when they were, and you heard Mike Matheny there say that they hadn't played their best baseball, and he's right. Even when they were winning those games, they weren't playing great. They were just really doing the things you need to win. And they've continued, and then their play fell off from pretty good, and now they're doing all the things that contribute to losses. And they've got to turn it around and turn it around quickly, and there's no better team to give you a little boost of B12 than the Detroit Tigers coming up this week. Coming up next, we've got a whole lot to cover. We'll hear from Peter Vermes and talk Sporting Kansas City after their fantastic, fun game on a Sunday night. And then there's other sports notes. Rory McIlroy back, a heroic tale from a player with Chiefs connections, and a couple of other notes as well. Right here on Monday Musings, Danny SportsWrap. It's the Reasonably Irreverent podcast, and we're brought to you today by Dillon's Heating and Cooling.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. The storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Right now, it's more important than ever to support local businesses. And 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence is open and ready to take care of you. Make 23rd Street Brewery part of your KU game day experience, whether you watch the game there or grab curbside pickup for your tailgates or watch parties.
But not just game days. 23rd Street Brewery is great any day of the week, and when the weather's nice, you can take advantage of their heaters on the patio. 23rd Street Brewery is open daily from 11:30 to 9 for dine-in, carry-out, curbside pickup, and can even help with your catering needs.
So support local and visit a Lawrence favorite, 23rd Street Brewery.
We're here once again with Dr. Brad Woodle from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Springtime, good weather's finally here. People want to stay active, and it's your job to make sure that they can stay active, and be healthy.
Danny, we see a lot of not just weekend warriors, but people that every day are having that want to get back to activity. Whether you're starting with walking, jogging, or maybe that first 5K of the year, we want to help you out. We specialize in taking care of all ages, from kids all the way to grandmas and grandpas, but absolutely specialize in getting you back to full function and keeping you in great shape.
So in short, how do we go about doing that?
The first thing is to schedule a consultation with one of our doctors and therapists so we can see how you move and how you're supposed to move. Based on our assessment, we can put together a short treatment plan and a set of goals to help you both feel better, function better, and most importantly, stay better for this year and many years to come.
Learn more at asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny. I'm here with David Schmidt from Private Capital. And David, tell us more about your outstanding firm.
Thanks, Danny. Here at Private Capital, we focus on return on asset. In today's world, it is survival of the fittest. We look at things from all angles and try to figure out what works best for you. The changes we will see this next year on assets will be monumental. The key to success is knowledge. Know where you want to go, and we'll be here along the way. To find out more, give us a call at 816-221-7775.
David Schmidt from Private Capital with the best service for you.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back, and if you're a sporting fan and a Kansas City sports fan in general, and that's not a gigantic group. There's plenty of Royals fans and Chiefs fans who don't care much about sporting Kansas City. But if you're in that category of rooting for all the local teams, it looked like it was going to be a bad news weekend with the Royals' free fall, as we just chronicled, and then Sporting was playing really an outstanding game against Austin FC, the expansion side, which has played better than expected so far this year. But they gave up an early goal, did Sporting, and it was 1-0. And the first half was just electrifying soccer. Both teams actually played pretty well, and Sporting started to take control of the game a little bit late in the half, but Austin still had some traction in the game, and they held that 1-0 lead and continued on in doing so. But even in the first half, even though Austin was playing a representative game, Sporting had great chance after great chance. Gianluca Busio had two outstanding chances. One was just a flat sitter. He should have absolutely scored. Daniel Shalloway was creating opportunities left and right. Sporting would end up with 25 shots in the game, which is more than they had had in their first three games combined. The keeper for Austin FC ended up making, I think, 6 saves. Stuver, the goalkeeper, and he was outstanding. You make 6-7 saves in a soccer game. That's quite a lot, and a couple of them were tremendous fashion off of Shalloway. One that deflected off the crossbar. One looked like it was headed for the far corner. So as the game continued on, it was looking like real desperation. But the complexion of the game would change in the 67th minute when Alex Ring was sent off with a red card. He had accumulated a yellow card earlier. He probably was dancing around fire, and we'll hear Peter Vermees in a minute talking about that. He had several plays after the first yellow card that could have been another yellow card, which of course accumulates into a red card, and off you go. And off he went, and then it was just Austin hanging on for dear life. But still, they did for 15 more minutes, but the breakthrough came as Ilie Sanchez leaped up and headed in Johnny Russell's corner kick, and he tallied his first goal since July of 2019. And now it was really on, and Sporting was, at least it appeared, Austin was giving no threat offensively at this time. It appeared, at least for sure, Sporting was going to get a point, but another draw at home, as they had against Orlando City, wouldn't have been really satisfying indeed. But Sporting did break through in the first minute of extra time as substitute Kyrie Shelton's flicker headed off across from Luis Martins and found an open Yadi Kinda. He made no mistake, nodding it into the back of the net, his second goal of the 2021 campaign. Fantastic celebration. Sporting would have a couple of other opportunities to make it a 2-goal win, but in the end they'll gladly settle for a 2-1 win, and now 2-1-1 on the season. And Peter Vermees was really happy with his team because they kept hanging in there when it looked like things might not go their way.
You know, you just never know, but what I really appreciate about the guys is that I said to them at halftime, I said, it would be there's no reason to come in at halftime and feel down. We created some really good chances. I've said this maybe I said this to you guys last week or whatever, but I still think we're still trying to find ourselves for a number of reasons. We're still trying to get fit. We're trying to just get bodies on the field. There's just a lot of different things that we're trying to do right now, and we're just not fully there yet. And so what I really like is the guys kept a good mentality going into the second half, and really never gave up with trying to get back into the game. And they were purposeful about the decisions that they made in and around the box, the service. I mean, Luis today with his service was tremendous. He was really, really good with his service today, and I think that made a big difference in the game.
Peter, I know it's always a brief conversation when they have you in game, but down 1-0, and you seem to be very positive about the team and how it was playing. Can you kind of expand upon what it was you were seeing there at that time?
Yeah, it's funny because when I was meeting with Fox before the game, I had said they had done, I think, our game here at home against Orlando, and Stuart Holden asked me a question during the game, and he's like, basically, what are you guys trying to do out there? I really didn't have an answer. And, I said to them on yesterday, the prep meeting I had with them, I said, Stu's question was really good in the last game because I really didn't know, because I believe that we're still trying to find ourselves. But what I was really proud of, and that's what I said earlier, I was really proud of the fact that we came out to try to now be more like us. And I thought we were good with the ball. I thought we circulated the ball. I thought we were, going down the left, especially down the left. We were very strong going down the left, and we were creating chances. And that's what I want to see from our team. I mean, I know sometimes the ball's going to go the other way and something's going to happen, like on the goal that they scored. That's going to happen every once in a while. We kept ourselves in the game. We kept ourselves, in the game, and that was the most important thing. That's why I was so positive.
Hey, Peter. 2 questions here. One, what was the reason for the substitution with Punchits for Cover Rod? And then what did you think of Ilya's second half? It seemed like he really was pushing the tempo and helping keep you guys on the front foot for the goal.
Punčić had a problem with his hamstring. I can't tell you what the full extent of it is, but he had a problem with his hamstring, and so we had to get another central defender out there. On the other side, what I would say about Ilya is, he has a lot of assets that he provides us in the game, and the fact that he could move around, play in the back, when we moved to 3 in the back, he went in the back into the middle. It helps us immensely to be able to make that shift, and then him to actually do it in a really, really good way. It helps us a lot. So that was a big change in the game, which I thought put a lot of pressure on them.
Peter Polskamp in goal, obviously the youngster. What did you think? The one he gave up on, anything he could have done differently, and just his game all around?
Yeah, I'd have to see it again. He may have been able to stay in the goal and let the defenders kind of run him down. I just don't know if the guy would have gotten away from us. I don't know if he slowed down that the goalkeeper came out. It's hard for me to tell. I'm going based off of memory, not based off of seeing it, since the game. But I would say outside of that, he finds a way to keep staying in the game, and he's getting better all the time. He's getting more comfortable. You can tell he's getting more comfortable with his feet. He's getting more comfortable just in the management of the game. And for a guy as young as he is, he's doing a hell of a job.
The yellow cards, ultimately you get the yellow-red, which gives you the advantage, but there did seem like there were a lot of opportunities. Was there maybe it all added up, right, ultimately to the red card, but did you maybe a little frustrated that you didn't see some yellow before that?
Well, I think that he could have easily had a couple of yellows that would have led to a red, so, all the same, I guess. It probably just could have happened a lot earlier. There's sometimes there's an accumulation, and what they did a really good job of is when we did break them a few times and started getting out on the run, they were doing the tactical fouls, and I just think that those things have to be managed, and unfortunately, the players nor the coaches can manage that. The referee has to, but all in all, I thought that those guys did a decent job in the game.
And always entertaining and frank, Peter Vermees and his team will face a quick turnaround next week, visiting rivals Houston Dynamo, and that's a 7:30 game on the weekend. And the Western Conference game, that will be a Bally Sports Kansas City Plus game. Of course, last night's game was on national TV on Fox Sports 1. That's always fun for Sporting to get that kind of exposure, and it was a very exciting night at Sporting Park with the bigger crowd in there now and a lot of excitement around the team and smiles all around. Smiles for Rory McIlroy, too. Let's turn around to golf a little bit, and ordinarily, if I'm doing this on Monday, it has to be a pretty big golf story for me to include it. I love golf, but not everybody does. But Rory McIlroy bouncing back for his first win in 18 months is a big deal. And he talked about the fact that the year and a half seems much, much longer than that. And it seems much, much longer in our lives, too, because he talked about COVID and he struggled with the fact that there were no fans out there at first. He's a father now, which he wasn't the last time he won a tournament. His wife Erica was there, and his little daughter Poppy was there, and he played great golf and in the end took control and was able to actually overcome the fact that he put the ball in the penalty area on the final hole but had a 2-shot margin, made a bogey, won the tournament. And among the contenders on the weekend was Gary Woodland. Good to see him back in contention. He has not been having a good campaign. He has struggled around the COVID times, and it's been a while since he played good golf. He was tied for the lead for quite a bit of the tournament at the Wells Fargo Championship. It's played on a beautiful golf course in Quail Hollow, where McIlroy has now won 3 times in this particular tournament and won a PGA championship there as well. So that's been a real outstanding home for him. It's a difficult golf course. 10 under par doesn't win too many PGA Tour events these days, and that was the total that Rory McIlroy shot. It was kind of a fun and interesting story as a sidebar as well with Bryson DeChambeau, who after Friday was at 2 over par. He was in about 90th place when he finished his round, so he thought he was never going to make the cut. He got on his NetJets jet and went home to Dallas, and then realized or was told or was texted to that he actually did make the cut. His players had fallen back, and he thought for a minute about not necessarily going back and withdrawing, but he hopped on the NetJets jet at 2:30 in the morning, went back and shot 68 on the weekend and got himself a top 10 and $228,000, which certainly is worth it and will easily take care of the jet costs many, many, many times over. So, interesting weekend. We're 2 weeks away from the PGA Championship, and Rory McIlroy turning back into form. DeChambeau with a top 10 finish, and some very exciting golf over the next couple of weeks. Next week they'll be in Dallas, and then the second major championship of the year in the PGA Championship. Bob Baffert's in a little bit of hot water. He, of course, won the Kentucky Derby, as we chronicled, I think, two Mondays ago, or maybe it was last Monday. Time flies when you're having fun. His horse Medina Spirit won a very spirited Kentucky Derby, and now that victory is in peril as Medina Spirit has tested positive for an anabolic steroid at twice the amount that is allowed, and Baffert is denying everything, even though it's the 5th horse who has tested positive in his stable over the past year, and he's sort of implying some conspiracy theories and things of that nature. But we'll see over the next few days. He's been banned from having his horses run at Churchill Downs right now. An investigation will go on. Baffert says that he's going to do his own investigation as well. But there is the possibility that Medina Spirit will not be the Kentucky Derby champion. The Preakness is this Saturday, and Medina Spirit is still expected to participate in that. So a lot of intrigue and deception and controversy going on in the world of horse racing. And let's finish up with a really neat story. And Brandon Baer is a former NFL football player. He was acquired as a free agent by the Kansas City Chiefs, never played for the Chiefs. He played for a couple of other NFL teams, just played a handful of games in the league, and then retired after a couple of years. He lives in Idaho, and he was driving down the road, and he saw that a trucker in his truck had been struck by a train, and there was fire, and it hadn't gotten to a lethal point at that point, and he raced over to the truck, was able to get the truck driver out of the truck, and soon after he got him out of the truck, became completely engulfed in flames, and there were a couple of minor explosions, and he basically saved the man's life. And what an amazing story. And for somebody to go into a burning truck, I mean, you just have to be somebody who is a hero, because at any moment the truck certainly could explode and you could lose your life as well. but a very, very heroic story for one Brandon Bear with a slight Kansas City connection, as he was first off acquired by the Kansas City Chiefs, although he never played with them. And a good way to wrap up our Monday musings. Always good to try and find some good things in our world, in the world of sports, and we hope there's good things going on in your world as well. And there's always good things going on at DannyKlinkscale.com and the Reasonably Irreverent podcast, as well as Patreon.com/DannyKlinkscale. So look for all the great things that we do. This week we've got our great music podcast with Tim Finn. We've got a great Kansas City profile about the Dream Factory. All kinds of good stories, always to be told right here at the Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Thanks, and have a great week.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Dillon's Heating and Cooling, treating you like family with expert and affordable HVAC services.